Yian Quach here. Hello, Ivy community, interior designers. Glad to be here with you guys today and wondering if everyone can see me and hear me great. I popped in several minutes early to our session today, and I'm going to wait about a couple more minutes before we begin. I'm checking out who is in the chat here today, or in this session. I see we've got 631 people registered, 178 in the live and counting. This is a really exciting webinar for me. I'm really excited to share this presentation and to connect with you all. So when we begin, I'm going to tell you about myself and what we're going to talk about. We got about 2 more minutes here, and while we are waiting, I'll tell you about the space that I'm in. I'm in my New York apartment. I live in Ridgewood, Queens, and been in this apartment now since 2011. It is one of my favorite things in life to be here. I do work from home. This is my work studio, and I'll show you what we're looking at. This is my bookshelf here. My books include books on design, books on website design. I've got a couple of my favorite books here are The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Got the autobiography of Steve Jobs, or rather the biography of Steve Jobs. Books on photography. I have a background in photography before I started website design. What else can I show you? Oh, this mirror here is another one of my favorite pieces. I love the way that the bottom juts out more than the top. It's one of my treasures. Got my trinkets on the wall there. And I love bamboo, so you can see my bamboo plants in the background. This is a really exciting piece that I just got recently. It's a magnet board. My girlfriend Gabby made it for me. And it's a 24 by 36 frame, put a metal sheet in it, and magnets, put stuff up. So, okay, so we got 1 more minute till we start. 209 people already in. People from Orlando, we got people from Seattle, Sarah from Seattle. Sarah, I am from Seattle. I'm from Capitol Hill in Seattle, born and raised. Left Seattle in 2007, taught English in Vietnam for 3 years after that, and then met Gabby there, and then Gabby's from New York, so I when we came back to the States, I moved to New York. So, all right, so it is 12:30, and I'm going to begin. And to do so, I'm going to share my screen with you so that I can show you my slideshow that I've created. All right, here we go. Share screen. All right. Okay. Okay. This is the website Masterclass for interior designers, as we've called it, led by myself, Yian Quach. And my company is House Digital. There's my website and my Instagram handle there. And it is hosted by Ivy. All of you obviously know who Ivy is. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Ivy in a second. All right, so who I am. Yian Quach is how we pronounce it in English. I'm a website designer and content consultant. My tagline is that I help real people reimagine the online face of their business. I work one-on-one with interior designers, and I've worked with dozens of designers by this point, some of them beginners, other of them award-winning designers who have been published in top shelf magazines, including Editor at Large, Architectural Digest, Lux Magazine. 2017 was a very important year for me. I started working with interior designers as a specific niche at the end of 2016, early 2017. And in 2017, I went to 10 design events throughout the country 4 of them actually multi-day markets: High Point Market, Vegas Market, Bold Summit, and I spoke with hundreds of designers about their design needs, web design needs, marketing needs, etc. As it just 2017 was a real kind of fact gathering and immersion into the community for me, and a lot of you may see me now on a lot of the groups on Facebook and stuff. So I am one of the only website designers who is very active in the interior design community, as I understand it. I've appeared on several podcasts, including Luann Nagara's A Well-Designed Business, Mark McDonough's podcast on marketing for interior designers, been on with Rachel and Dixie, Design and Style. I have a background in teaching and all things digital. As I mentioned, I used to teach English, and that really informs my work now in a lot of ways, which I can get into later. All things digital, photography, graphic design, video editing, it's all part of my background, and it's all ways that I help my clients now. And now I'm on the executive board of the IDS virtual chapter, which is very exciting. And those of you who were on Nancy Ganzikoffer's webinar a couple weeks ago, she talked about that. And that's a very exciting new opportunity for interior designers who want to be part of IDS, but do not live near a local chapter. So shout out to IDS. These pictures are self-portraits I did of myself in High Point at the Environment Showroom in the old radio building. I love this space. I tell you, if budget was no issue and everything, I think my space might look something like this. This style really resonates with me. This minimalist, very neutral tones, etc. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Ivy. Ivy reached out to me several months ago after Bold Summit and invited me to come on with you guys, and very appreciative of the opportunity to be here with you today. And I've prepared a couple notes here to tell you about Ivy. I'm just going to read them off here. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Ivy is a community business management tool for interior designers. Designers use Ivy to send through proposals, invoice their clients, track and bill their time, and more. If you're an interior designer, Ivy is your go-to tool to manage all of your business operations online. I personally have attended a live demo with Ivy hosted by Riza, and was very impressed with how well the software is designed, how clean it is, etc. And if you haven't done a live demo yet, I really suggest it. I've also been really impressed with how involved Ivy has been outreach with the interior design community at least 3 events that I was at 2017, 3 big events. I saw them boots on the ground, listening to designers, understanding their needs, and then creating solutions for those needs. So I always really admire companies who make that investment. That human touch is something that I really appreciate. If I was an interior designer, I would definitely consider using Ivy. Okay, so thanks again, Ivy. So I invite you to join me now for this next hour, in which we are going to dive into the subject of websites for interior designers. And I think that this could be potentially the most valuable hour that you invest in your business this week. So I really invite you to be with me here, right now. If it helps you to turn your phone on silent or whatever, I encourage you to get the most out of this session as possible. Here's an outline of what we're going to cover today. Why your website matters. This is obvious. Now, obviously, all of you guys are here with me today, so your website does matter to you. But I'm going to tell you why. I think it particularly matters for an interior designer. Some obvious tips, stuff you've probably heard before. But then we're going to get into the masterclass of my actionable tips and perspective that I think can really help you. And then finally, I'm going to tell you a bit of how I work, and I'm going to open it up for Q&A. So before I move on, I'm just going to come back over to the chat here. I'm just going to make sure everything's going well and that we're all set to go. I see Yep, all systems go. Okay, so I am going to begin. All right. And during the webinar, I really encourage you to ask questions, and I'll address them in the Q&A. The best way to ask questions is to click the button at the bottom of your screen, Ask a Question. Don't put your question, as I understand it, the best thing is to use that button because that way it's going to go into one collection of questions. And actually you can vote on questions as well to see which ones are more valuable to you, and that'll increase the likelihood that that question will get answered at the end. If you put your question just in the regular chat, chances are it's probably not going to get answered. All right, so just wanted to mention that. And by the way, all these images here that you're seeing on the slides are images of the websites that I've created. Okay, why your website matters. Okay. Now, I'm assuming all of you are interior designers or in the field, and I'm assuming that at least 90% of you, your clients are coming to you at least a little bit warm. What I mean is that they've heard about you either through a friend, through perhaps an article you've been published in, or perhaps through your social media or someone else's social media, through your house account. In some way, they've had some contact with you already, and now here they are on your website to check you out, right? And so what is the job of your website? There's an analogy that I really like, which is a relay race. Okay, imagine a relay race, one person handing a baton off to another person, right? Their initial contact with you, let's say their initial contact with you was through a friend of theirs. They referred you to their friend. That has a baton handing off to your website. Now your website has the baton, okay? And the job of your website is to hand that baton off to you. So if your website does its job, that baton will get handed off. If your website doesn't do its job, that baton will get dropped and the relationship will end, essentially, right? Okay, so how does the website hand that baton off to you? Number one, it qualifies you as an expert in your field, qualifies you as someone who can solve their problem, right? Qualifying you is a lot about building trust through a polished presentation of your site, but also through the words that you use, the way that you speak on your website, the information that you give, answering the questions that they have enough that they feel confident to reach out to you, that they're not going to find themselves on the phone with you and realize, no, this is definitely not the designer for me. Ideally, you want that lead to come to you with them already knowing that you're probably the designer for them, and they just want to speak with you to seal the deal, to confirm what they already believe is true about you, okay? So it qualifies you, it warms them up through attractive imagery on your site and feel-good language, right? And then so that when you finally speak with that client, you are closing the deal. You're talking about, topics that really matter. You're not having to sell yourself as much. Your website has already done that for you. You can just close, okay, or focus on closing. And that's why I think that your website matters and is such a powerful tool. Your social media is obviously very powerful as well. I heard a good analogy one time, or a good perspective that I really agree with. Someone said, your social media is there to kind of, build up your story, and it's kind of like this freestyle arena where you can just play fast and loose and really just feel free to just boom, 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 put stuff up. Your website should be a polished presentation that establishes you as a professional and that can really get a point across really quickly, okay? So I really like that. Next topic. Obvious tips, stuff you've probably already heard before, okay? Mobile responsive. Your website should be mobile responsive. What does that mean? It means that when someone visits your website on their cell phone, that it fits the phone naturally. The text is large enough to read. They don't have to zoom in to view images and to read. And That is especially important now in the last year or so for SEO, search engine optimization, SEO. Recently, in the SEO realm, Google has started to penalize sites for not being mobile responsive. It is giving more juice to sites that are mobile responsive. So if SEO is important to you, which it should be, make sure your website is mobile responsive. Attractive photography. Obviously, this is your work. This is selling the fantasy of what you can do for them. Your website should be as attractive as possible. How to get attractive photos on a budget. This is what I like to say. Because I've done a lot of photography and you know, understand photography enough to know that a photographer who specializes in interior design is going to charge a premium. So if you're a developing designer and looking for a way to grow your business, you know, within your budget, consider this. Consider creating a little flip book of beautiful interior design photos done by the masters, right? You know, just go to interior design websites of very successful designers. You can find professional photos there. Take that, hire a wedding photographer. A wedding photographer is the master of their equipment, and they generally only work on the weekends. So during the week, you could get them at a discount. Bring that wedding photographer in, show them the book, and say, can you do this style with this room? They'll look at the photos and they'll say, oh, okay, I see how the photographers in this very natural light setting, they're leaving the lamps off. You know, in a lot of magazines, they leave the lamps off. You know, so that's one technique they use. The photographer will be able to see that the height of the camera is a little bit lower so that the ceilings look taller, so composition. They'll be able to see these techniques from the photos, and they'll be able to replicate it to a certain extent. It's like hiring a graduate student painter to mimic a Van Gogh as opposed to, you know, hiring Van Gogh. You know, you can get pretty close. All right. Simple to navigate. Make sure your website is simple to navigate. If your website is not simple to navigate, people are going to leave, plain and simple. Right? Updated and fresh. If your website feels updated and fresh through a blog or through, you know, fresh imagery every quarter or something, it communicates that your business is updated and fresh, and that's what you want. You want to feel fresh. Easy to read. When I say easy to read, I'm not talking only about the length of text. I'm also talking about the sentence structure, that the sentence structure should feel very clear and boom, boom, it moves and moves. There's not clunky sentences, there's not run-on sentences, there's not grammar mistakes. Also that the text shape of your site, especially on a desktop, looks very neat. If you want to see examples of this, go to my website and see how I have really put a lot of attention into the text shape. Okay, lead magnet. Make sure that you've got a lead magnet on your site that is giving people an opportunity to download a PDF or something and giving you an opportunity to get their email so you can build your email list and market to them. Videos, you know, this is another obvious tip. Everyone's saying, get video, get video, get video. I have a lot to say about video, and later in our discussion, I'm going to actually share with you an alternative way to get video on your site. Because if you're like me, you have very high standards for yourself on video, especially on your website. You want it to reflect your with high polish, and I'm going to show you an easy way to do that. All right, the masterclass. Now we're going to get into kind of more non-intuitive topics, not the obvious stuff, all right? Topic number 1, are you sending the right message? What do I mean by this? Here's what I mean. every one of you has a ideal client, right? For some of you, your ideal client may be very high-end luxury clients, big budgets, right? Let's think for a second about the values of these clients. What do they value, right? They value polish, presentation, but not only that, they value very kind of like more succinct presentation. They don't want too much information. They want you to feel a little bit exclusive, a little bit elusive. They want to know that you are going to be a special investment for them, that they can brag about you to their friends, that maybe it's important to them that you have a little bit of celebrity, right? So then your press page kind of becomes more important. Your press page might actually elevate higher up in your navigation, right? You know, these are things that will kind of resonate with that type of client. It's less important perhaps to them that you spell out each step of your process, right? They're trusting that because you've worked with so-and-so, that you have a good process. They don't care as much about the process, right? Let's think about someone on the other end of this spectrum, an ideal client on the other end of the spectrum. Perhaps they've never worked with an interior designer before, right? Probably they have a somewhat smaller budget. They may have more fear about working with an interior designer, about what to expect. It may be more important to that designer that you are spelling out your steps, that you are helping them feel at ease with working with an interior designer. So your website may be more important for you to speak to them. Your tone should feel more friendly, more approachable, etc. Right? So there's two examples, right? Now, obviously, this is not a strict dichotomy of one or the other, right? There are projects that kind of fall in the middle or on one side or the other. The question for you, the question that I invite you to ask yourself is, where do you fall in this spectrum? Who is your ideal client, and what do they want to see on your website, right? What's the feel, the vibe that they want? More approachable, more exclusive. And these words are only signposts to what I really mean. Other words that you could interchange in here are, for approachable, maybe like relatable, friendly, informational, etc. For exclusive, other words you could put in there is, you know, somewhat elusive. Remember, it's almost like seductive, like you're not too easy, right? You're a little bit hard to get, you know, etc. So it's a really important question, you know, to ask yourself about your own website. Are you sending the right message? Let's move on. Next topic. All right, a few homepage options. I want to show you a few options that you can play with on your own homepage. And why is this important? Well, obviously your homepage is the very first impression of you that they're going to get when they arrive on your website. It sets the tone for the rest of the experience, and that's why it's important, right? So let's think through a couple techniques here, a couple approaches for the homepage. And these are all websites that I've designed myself. So the first one here is April Force Pardo. As you can see, we're putting her face right out front and center, and that's because she happens to be a very photogenic designer. She's got a really beautiful photo of her in an interior, which I believe is so helpful if you can get a nice photo of yourself in an interior and make it relevant for your field. Also, as you can see on this homepage, we've created a collage of 3 images that kind of avoid pigeonholing April into one specific look for her website, for her style, you know, as opposed to like these 2 other ones here. It gives a very, very specific image, you know, right off the bat. For Heather's site here, this is actually a slideshow of 3 images, you know, so we fill the screen with big imagery to kind of big splash, so very immersive. This is obviously probably the most common approach that we see on interior design websites. And I recommend, if you do a slideshow, you choose three images. I think I would say 3 to 5. I wouldn't go over 5. I think 3 is like the minimum number for like a collection, if you will. All right. The third one here, for Stepping Stone Interiors, she's a window treatment specialist. Her ideal client is more on that approachable side. They want to know immediately that she, is the right fit for them, etc. So she's putting out her unique value proposition, which that she's helped hundreds of homeowners in the Central Ohio area since 2005, and that she's a window treatment specialist. Notice how those initial 3 words, window treatment specialist, so direct. Not necessarily poetic. And so I think that you can see kind of which side of the spectrum that she's on. Sorry, I just got a text from the admin of this webinar, so I'm just going to check in. Bear with me just a second, guys. Okay. And then the fourth image here is an approach in which we start with a paragraph to give an overview of the business straight away. It's a very no-nonsense approach as well. And I just got a text here from the moderator of this webinar that my image may look a little bit blurry to you guys. I'm happy to send this slideshow to you guys afterwards so that you can see these in higher resolution. And I hope that it's good enough for you to at least follow along and see what I'm talking about. Okay, next topic. How to make the most of a small portfolio. I included this topic because I'm guessing that a lot of you are designers who are starting out and who may have relatively small portfolios and are looking on ways to really still have a big impact with your visitors. And so I'm going to share with you my perspective on this. So first of all, I think that 3 is the minimum number of, ideally the minimum number of projects that you can have in your portfolio. 3, I think, is the baseline for a collection, as I said before. If you can write about your work on your portfolio page for each of these 3, at least 3 projects, your visitor will leave your portfolio page. It'll take them probably about 5 minutes to get through. And if you had 7 projects, 10 projects without writing, probably take about the same, 5 minutes to get through, right? So, so in other words, you are able to supplement your imagery with the actual stories that you can tell about your projects. This is the #1 way to really stretch your portfolio. So, but now let's talk about how to do that. Here's a recipe for writing copy on your portfolio page. And this is a recipe, there are various recipes to write copy on your portfolio page, but I'm gonna share with you one specific one, which I developed while working with Heather Bentley's here. This is her website. I call it TSCS, TSCS, title, subtitle, challenge, solution. Okay, and here it goes. So title, Suburban Family Home, Seattle, Washington. Okay, so now, you know, when you speak with the client on your phone, they can refer to this project. Oh, I really love this Suburban Family Home project that you did. It's very important that your projects each have a easy to reference title. Okay, subtitle, an online project. I'm going to read this to you because I think you guys can't read it. An online project with a design-loving mom who was ready to refresh her upstairs family room. Okay, so boom, we say so much about this project just in that one line. We communicate that Heather can work online with clients, that she has worked with families, right? She's a mom. And it also says something about the client as well, the client's values. This is a mom who was ready to refresh her upstairs family room. So, you know, and this is an opportunity to really, for your ideal client to identify with clients that you've worked with before, right? Say, oh, I'm a mom, I have a family room, and this very subtly creates a connection between that visitor and you, so that when they speak to you, they have a little bit more of that of a idea that you are the right designer for them. Okay, all right, TSCS, title, subtitle, challenge, solution. Challenge. This client came with an existing sofa and wall colors, but no idea what to do with the rest of the space. She loves color and pattern, but was unsure how to use them. Okay, so you paint the picture of what was needed to be done, right? And then solution. Together, we accented existing neutrals with eye-catching mid-century style chairs and chose shades of turquoise and tangerine to bring interest. Okay, so you say now how you solve that problem. All of you are artists, but all of you are also problem solvers, and your job as an interior designer, right, is to solve their problems. So in this little paragraph here, you convey that you are a problem solver, that you can solve problems, right? And there's something else that's going on here as well that you may not have thought. There are words here that are evoking imagery, kind of like these words: turquoise, tangerine, mid-century style chairs. What other yummy words? Accented, neutrals. These kind of design-related language that really evoke ideas and imagery for people. Think of this like writing a description for a wine, right? When you read a wine bottle, a hint of melon or something. You know, these writers, they use this stuff to like really play up the wine, right? So it's like, it sounds so yummy, right? They're selling a fantasy about that wine. Right? Same thing with menus when you go to restaurants. They use these kind of yummy language to sell a fantasy. You can do the same thing when talking about your work. And so you can use these buzzwords to evoke imagery, right? And I encourage you to make these descriptions both descriptive, but also a little bit poetic, because it is about selling a fantasy. So that's one recipe for writing copy on your portfolio page. TSCS. Here we go. Next topic. Alternative ways to incorporate video onto your website. So remember, everybody's saying video, you gotta have video, right? If you're like me, it's a big thing to put a video on your website. For me, I need it to be on message, on brand, on target, polished, etc. And that is not always an easy thing to do. It's not always a cheap thing to do, or affordable thing to do, rather, because to really get your videos looking on point, sometimes you've got to have professional lighting. You got to do your hair, your makeup, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot that goes into making that video good enough to put on your website. And remember, your website, you want to be very polished, right? So I want to show you an alternative way, and this is a video here that I created for April Force Pardo, and right now we're looking at her portfolio page. And as you can see, she's got her challenge and solution very briefly here. Our client wanted 2 distinct living spaces with 1 large room with 3 entrances. A careful layout. With 3 entrances, a careful layout ensured that traffic flowed smoothly. All right. And then she's got this video, and I'm going to show you her video. So I'm going to pop open her website. Okay. And I'm going to go by, this is my website we're looking at. And here we are on her website that we saw before. And I'll just scroll down her homepage here, let you see the rest of it. And I'm going to go over to her portfolio page. And here we are on her portfolio launch page. We're going to go in here to Overhill Road. Boom, Overhill Road. Okay. Hear a little bit of an echo here when I turn my volume up. You know what, guys? I'm gonna try this, and if the audio becomes really weird, what I want you to do is just turn it down or whatever you need to, and then just go to this page later to see afpinteriors.com. I'm gonna try this. You know what? I don't know if you can hear this. No, I think that's gonna be a problem. Anyway, so I'm gonna tell you what's going on here. Well, we're looking at images of her work of this project, just going through, and she's narrating in the background with a little bit of background music, and she's just talking about this project. She's highlighting various aspects of this project to really bring these images to life. You know, when someone looks at just an image, or the layman looks at the image, they may not be able to really appreciate the design that went into that space. They also don't want to read a whole bunch of paragraphs. No one's going to stick around and read a really long synopsis of the project. But by doing a simple slideshow and then having those images kind of zoom in slightly to give it that nice subtle cinematic effect, it really gives that nice polished video, and they hear April's voice. So it's got that nice touch point with her, bringing a little bit of relatability and approachability to her as a designer. So, and for this, April didn't need to do her makeup or anything like that. So it kind of makes it low investment. She didn't have to invest in a video team to come with lighting. I just took images of her work. I had her record a 40-second synopsis of the project, and then I put it together in iMovie and put her logo in at the end. You know, this is something that you can do yourself. This is something that you can hire a someone who's good at video. Maybe your son knows how to do it well, or you can even reach out to me and I can help you. You can hire me to put these types of videos together for you. This is a hugely impactful way to present your work. Look at this. We're on this project page for her. We got the title. We actually didn't do subtitle for her. We did challenge, solution, video, and then boom, we go and we show the images, and then boom, next project. So that's one alternative way to do video on your site. Another alternative way to do video on your site is to do Q&A videos, in which for each video, and I would suggest keeping it to 1 minute to keep it really short. 40 seconds, I think, would be even better, so that it really moves quickly, and also so that you can share it on your Instagram, because obviously Instagram has a limit of 1 minute, for that video. So, just write down 10 questions that you think your clients would want to hear answers to. Set up your camera, boom, boom, your lighting, your hair, makeup for and then just boom, knock them out. Knock out those 10 videos in an hour or whatever. And it's a very focused way to come onto video and really bringing value in that video, answering questions that they want answers to, as opposed to trying to create this 2 to 3 minute video in which you're kind of using this kind of flowery language and selling yourself. You know, I don't think that these videos are, well, I think they can work well, but I think that there's so much of a higher investment needed to make them look well. If you do a video like this, I really encourage you to work with a professional video team. You know, whereas with kind of the videos that I just showed you for April Force Pardot and Q&A style videos, which you can see on heatherbates.com and also Pulp Design Studios, they do it really well for those Q&A videos. I think that it's a much more accessible way for you, especially if you're trying to do this on a budget, to really get video onto your site. All right, next topic. 7 ways to talk about rates on your website. I wanted to include this because talking about money is obviously such an important piece of your marketing, especially for those of you who your target clients are those, you know, are more on the kind of approachable side of the spectrum. There are so many schools of thought out there on how to handle this, and there's no one size fits all. But I want to show you, or I'll tell you about some options here. Okay, number one, obviously, is to avoid talking about your rates completely on your website. Right, just don't even touch it. If you don't think that is going to fit with your branding, just don't touch it. Right. Number two, merely talk about the process of how you charge for a project. So you don't talk about any numbers, but you say, you know, oh, in order, you know, the way I charge my project is I come for a consultation, we calculate about how much work, you know, the scope of the project, and then how much time I believe is going to be needed, and then I have a simple hourly rate that I use to get to multiply and to create a flat fee for that project, right? So now, even though you haven't told them any numbers, at least you can put that client at ease that you have a process for pricing your work and generally how that works, so that they can know what they're getting themselves into. And the only question remaining is, well, what's your hourly rate, right? Number three, you can say, oh, project's starting at blah, 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 right? So at least you can give them a ballpark figure, and you can kind of weed out those who are not your target client. Number four, you can say, I'm seeking projects with budgets starting at, right? So it really kind of, I think that this is a way that actually, in a way, sounds kind of nicer than projects starting at, because, I don't know, it just, to me, it sounds a bit more professional, and it really is, it kind of goes to the heart of the budget is used for the project, you know, sort of thing. So I don't know, it has a different feel to me. Number five, show your price for initial consultations only. So, okay, oh, I charge $650 for my initial consultation, and then in that consultation, we'll establish the scope of your project, and I'll be able to, you know, give you a quote for what that project would cost, you know, sort of thing. So at least now you're able to weed out some of those, you know, ones who think they're going to be getting that initial consultation for free or whatever. Show your rates in exchange for a visitor's email. This is what I do on my website. If you go to my services page, you'll see this button. It says View Rates. You click it, and a pop-up form pops up, and I say, view my rates after answering these questions. First question, I'm looking for a web designer who, fill in the blank, right? You know, and you know, another question I ask on there is, you know, what, you know, tell me about your project, blah, 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 and then obviously I ask for their name and their email. So now I know who's seeing my rates, okay? I'm putting my rates out there because as a web designer, I do find it helpful, you know, to put my rates out there for people. I really, really like to be transparent with my whole process, I mean, including the rates. But now, at least I know who's viewing them, and I get an email notification. I've actually gotten a couple notifications since this webinar started, and I get an email notification saying, you know, this person viewed your rates, and I can actually reach out to that person. If I haven't heard from that person within a couple days, I can reach out and say, hey, I noticed that you popped over my website and viewed my rates, filled out my form. Are you looking for help, you know, with your website, blah, 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 right? So, and then finally, show your rates freely. I've got a couple clients, you can find them in my portfolio, who actually do put their rates right out there, and find that important, they find it important to their ideal clients. So there's 7 ways. Next topic. Other master tips. And actually, you know what? I think what I'm going to do, okay, I just got a note, 8 more minutes before my Q&A. Okay, so yeah, let me talk a little bit about this. Alternative ways to display press. So obviously, a lot of press these days is online. And the old way of just showing the magazine covers on your press page is not really possible as much anymore. So I'm going to show you an alternative way to do this. Check this out. I'm going to go to jarrettyoshida.com. This is a really wonderful client I've worked with, interior designer based here in New York City. And I'm going to go over his press page here. Boom, check this out. Logo and button. Logo and button. Logo and button. Instead of showing the magazine cover, because these are online articles to begin with, if your press page is an opportunity to do some name dropping, let's do some name dropping, right? AD, New York Times, editor at large, putting the big ones right up front, ordering it by impact, not necessarily chronological, right? The point here is to knock the socks off of the visitor, right? So here's an alternative way to present your press. A glossary to demonstrate your expertise. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me go to Heather Bentley. This is another one of my clients here. And I'm gonna go, whoops, it's not heatherbentleyddesign.com. Shout out to Heather Bentley, the musician. All right, so Heather Bentley Design, we go over to glossary, click on glossary, and let's check this out. What is a glossary? Well, glossary is definitions of design terms, obviously, right? And check this out: ambient lighting, case goods, change order, e-design. Heather has gone through and defined these terms in her own words in a way that relates to her own business. Like change order. A change order happens when we've already decided on the details of a specific item and later choose to alter it in some way. Using the word we, making it relevant to her own business. This is an opportunity to not only establish yourself as an expert, and help educate someone, but it's a really, really fun way, to really create another opportunity for connection here, okay? Lead them into your lead magnet. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. I'm gonna go to steppingstoneinteriors.com. This is a window treatment specialist named Kim Powers that I worked with. I showed you this before. I'm gonna go down to 10 steps to beautiful windows, okay? So here is view all 10 steps, get the free list. But before doing that, step 1, step 2, actually kind of giving them a taste of what they can expect from your PDF. So leading them into your target, your lead magnet can be a successful technique. A way to keep your navigation super clean. Let me go to, let me go back to April Forrest Bardot's website. Check this out. So her top level navigation: home, portfolio, about, services, contact, more. Look how many things we have in her more. Imagine how bloated this navigation would feel if we put all those in the top level. So instead we do an L-shaped navigation. And this allows to expand and put new pages in while keeping that navigation feeling very clean and succinct and impactful, okay? And finally, a way to only show your rates to serious clients. That's what I was talking about before, as I do on my website. And let me show that to you of how I do that. So when I go over to my services page, all right, loading. All right. Here's my website. Go to my services page. All right. And boom, again, a quick synopsis of my services. I say I'm currently accepting select projects, view my rates, click that, and boom. That's what I was talking to you about before. Okay, so that's one technique. Okay, great. So those are the other master tips. And I've also got a slide here, inspirational websites. If you like this slide and any other slide, please email me and I will send the slides to you. This is a very, very powerful page to see what other designers are doing well in the arenas of video, blog, press, bio, layout, typography, logo, copywriting. Okay. How can I help? As I mentioned to you, I work one-on-one with interior designers, and number one way I can help is do a website review for you, in which I go through your existing website and look at and speak with you about you as a designer and your goals for your business, and then I can help you to give very specific actionable tips to make sure that your website is helping you to convert those visits into phone calls. Tips would include stuff on copy, stuff on layout, stuff on navigation, on structure of your website. You may have questions about what platform to use for your website. I'm hugely knowledgeable in the area of website design. It is a very broad world with lots of topics, and I can help you navigate that. So it's a 30 to 60 minute session, and you can find the price of that on my rates page for my initial consultation. Okay. I can do a full website redesign or design. That takes 4 to 6 weeks generally. And again, you can find that on the rates page or the rates of my website if you're interested in that. Website setup. So, I can help you to set up your website on Squarespace. Squarespace is the platform that I build on, and I can help you set it up and for you to then take it and do the rest yourself. If you're looking for more of a low budget option to get things up and running, I can help you with copywriting. Squarespace tweaks. Squarespace is a platform that I build on, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's looking to do their website if you haven't checked out Squarespace already. I can help you to make videos, like those little videos on your portfolio page. I can help you with graphic design if you need help with your logo, if you need help making infographics, etc. And I can help you with photography. Okay, do you want my help? If so, hop over to my website, check out my rates, go to the contact page of my website, and here you will find a questionnaire. Pop open that questionnaire and see the questions, and we can get started together. Okay. My availability is limited because I am a one-man show. I do have a design assistant, but I am a one-man show. And so if there are those of you out there that are interested, I do recommend reaching out to me ASAP. Okay. Thank you so much to all of you. This is the conclusion of my presentation part of the session. Again, my website is House Digital Design. My Instagram handle is Yian.Q. Connect with me, keep in touch. Even if it's not the right time, to hire me now or whatever, keep in touch. I would love to connect with you. I am, as I said, very involved in the interior design community and can be a resource to you. Okay, and thank you again to Ivy for hosting this presentation, this webinar. Okay, so now I'd like to open up for Q&A, and I'm going to pop over to the webinar, and I am looking now for the questions, and I'm going to stop my screen sharing, and I see we have 26 questions here. Okay, so let's see how many we can get to. I'm going to click on questions. All right. I'm going to look for some. I'm going to address the question that has the most votes, which is, if you're in a niche market, what's the best way to be welcoming to those who otherwise would not be interested. So if you're in a niche market, let's, you know, I think that answering this question is not so much about if you're a niche market. I think being welcoming in general is about tone, especially in your copy. You know, it's about speaking in the first person. It's about speaking to them and answering the questions that you know they have. Okay, people have come to your website for answers, and if you can answer their questions in a way that feels very personable, that's a great way to start. Okay, I see. It's just refresh here. I've got a question with 15 votes. Is it worthwhile to share before photos for certain projects? And if so, smaller, black and white, etc. Yes, I do think it's very helpful to share before photos. And I think that you touch on a really important point here, which is that you don't want a before photo to be dominating the screen. You don't want it to be putting ugliness on your website, right? One way to do that, yes, is to make that before photo quite small. Another way is to include it in just a video. Like, remember I was showing the video slideshow within your project, so that that before photo only shows up momentarily and doesn't stick around, you know, muddying up the real estate of your website, so to speak. Okay. Next question: where do you suggest we put videos on our website? What page? Okay. A couple things. One thing is you could put it on your portfolio page, as I showed you before. Another way I suggest is to have a page dedicated to videos and call it videos. I guarantee you it is going to be one of the pages of your website that gets the most hits. People want to see video, and when they see that in your navigation, they're going to click on it. Even if you are dotting videos throughout your site, create a page called videos and accumulate those videos there as well, you know, so they can see them all in one place. Next question. If you're still very much starting out, less than 3 finished projects, but have worked with a major design firm in the past, how would you write or explain that? Couple ideas come to mind. Number one, I think it's important to put that on your about page and tell that story. Another way is to really flesh out that story in your blog. And finally, you know, you can just add it as a very quick line on your homepage. The fact that you have worked with a large interior design firm has a lot of cachet, and you really, and it's one of your strengths. So you really want to capitalize on that. So you know, putting it in various places can really be a smart move. Next question. What do you recommend as the best way to record the audio for a pictorial video as shown? Good question. The videos that you can see on April Force Pardot's site, again, that URL is afpinteriors.com. Those were recorded with her iPhone and the standard headset that come with an iPhone. And you use the Voice Memos app on your iPhone. Android has a similar app that you can find in the Google Play Store. I forget what it's called. As a sole interior design practitioner, I have been wearing many hats: restaurant designer, commercial designer, residential designer. My business is called Design Studio M. To add to the madness, I became a dealer for 3 cabinetry lines. That business is called Studio M Kitchens. I am not sure if I should keep the 2 separate in terms of websites, promotion, marketing, or not. This is a common question that a lot of people have who do have these separate businesses, and there is no easy way to answer it. It really comes down to how you want to be marketing yourself, how much those do fit under the same umbrella. One simple and easy way to do it, a low investment way to do it, which you're probably already doing, I'm guessing, is keep them separate, have a link in your navigation or on your homepage that kind of go back and forth between each other, a way that is so, you know, out there that people are not going to miss it, you know, so they can definitely see both. Next question, what is your best email? Oh, for the slides. Right, so if you're interested in having the slides that I showed today, email me. You can find it on my website on my contact page. It's ian@housedigitaldesign.com. Next question, what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet is a way that you can capture emails on your website. You've seen them all the time. It's like download this free PDF. By the way, here's a really, really, I think, surefire topic to put on your lead magnet PDF. 3 questions to ask an interior designer before hiring them. Okay, think about what is valuable to your ideal client. They're shopping for interior designers, and they are really concerned with making sure that they are asking the right questions. I would suggest going with that route rather than 5 ways to spruce up your kitchen for Christmas, or or something like that. They're looking for a design. They're coming to you for design, right? If they're a DIYer, they're reading blogs. They're coming for your service. Okay. Next question: how can I view this webinar later? I have a meeting to go to. Tara, could you address that in the chat? As a fellow Seattleite, woohoo! Hi Beth from Seattle. On those days when you scheduled your photography shoot weeks out, but the sun is just not present, and you're working with a wedding or portrait photographer who's just getting her toes wet for interiors, what tips do you have to cheat for light without turning every lamp on? First of all, I encourage you to do your best to schedule that session based on the light. I encourage you to visit that space prior, or I mean, obviously you know that space, but to really ask yourself what time of the day is the best time to photograph this space. There is no substitute for good natural light. But if you're really, really in a pinch, what you want to do is you want to be having that photographer using off-camera flash. They'll know what that means, off-camera flash, as opposed to on-camera flash. Off-camera flash, they've got that trigger on their camera. They can put like 2 or 3 flashes throughout the room, and boom, they can light it like that. And they can control the intensity of each light. And they can bounce that light off of a white wall that can kind of mimic kind of a natural light effect. Okay. Next question: for designers who are starting out and haven't completed that many projects, what are some techniques to show more content in your site? How many pages? Again, as I was saying earlier in this presentation, you really want to be stretching your portfolio for all that it has. And you want to be using that formula TSCS, title, subtitle, challenge, solution. Next question. As a designer, what are your thoughts on using stock photography, images of flowers or a keyboard, not for the portfolio, but for pages like testimonial, glossary, etc.? I'll give you my 2 cents on this. We see so much stock photography online these days, and a very common connotation with stock photography is cheap, right? When we see stock photography on a site, we say, oh, this person didn't take the time, this person didn't make the investment to do their own photography. That's the echelon of designer that they're in. That's what they're going to think about you. They're going to say, oh, that's the echelon that that you're in. And so I think it's very risky in general to use stock photography. But if you do use stock photography, I suggest a site called Pexels, P-E-X-E-L-S. Tara, could you please write that in the chat? Pexels.com. Pexels is a stock photography site that actually does a really good job at making it look like not stock photography. Okay, so next question. Do you suggest avoiding using a hyphen in your business domain? I would say that in general, using a hyphen in your business domain is not going to make or break your business. What's going to make or break your business is the actual marketing that you do. Yes, if you can avoid using a hyphen in your business your domain name, then do so. If it's already too late, don't sweat it, please. Especially if you have already accumulated some domain name juice, don't sweat it. Where would you suggest placing a personal branding video on the website? For example, a video instead of a picture banner. Generally, your homepage or your about page are going to be the best places of a personal branding video. Wendy in the chat says that she got 4 votes on her question, but I missed it. Wendy, could you please write your question in the chat, and I'll see if I can get to it. Next question. A lot of these has been answered. So a lot of you are asking, how can we access this presentation again? You know, and how can we see the slides more clearly? Again, if you would like to see my slides, feel free to email me directly. You can find my email on the contact page of my website. Here it is, yian@housedigitaldesign.com. I'll be happy to send those to you. And if you would like to view this webinar again, I think Tara can answer how to do that in the chat. And Wendy was asking about the ideas for call to action on the homepage. Okay, yeah, so I must have missed that question. Call to action on the homepage. Yeah, generally it is important to have a call to action. I would say it's not as important as for other businesses. This is kind of a very hot button rule of thumb that people like to say, make sure you're using call to action, call to action. Bottom line is, people know you're an interior designer. They generally know that the next step is to reach out to you. If the call to action is not as important, but it is, you know, helpful to, you know, at least tell them explicitly what it is to do next. So let's go to my own homepage. When I get to the bottom of the screen, here's a call to action I love to do. Where to go next? Portfolio, services, or about me, right? I'm putting myself in the mind of my reader. My reader is not necessarily ready to make a purchase right now. What do they want? They want to know one of these 3 things, okay? So when you're thinking about your call to action, really put yourself in the mind of your viewer at that point, your visitor at that point, and really give them what they're asking for, what you know that they're asking for, okay? Don't give them the call to action that you want them to do. Oh, buy my thing now. No, give them the call to action that you know they want, okay? All right. Got about 5 more minutes here. I know I'm going over, but I got permission to go 5 more minutes if necessary. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Is it okay to have different types of slides in each page so it's more dynamic and less boring? Do you think it has to be consistent? I don't know. I don't quite understand the question here from Nina. Nina, if you could email me directly, I'll try to answer that question for you. Someone's asking about alternative color schemes. Generally, white is a very safe way to go when it comes to an interior design website. I've seen other, you know, beige and stuff work really well. In general, unless you're really trying to make a big disruptive splash, like a hot pink, like I'm really, really different sort of thing, you generally want to use a background color that is going to allow the images of your work to take center stage. Your website is not about the design of your website. Your website is about the images of your work. and it's about the descriptions of your work and stuff. So you want your website design to stay out of the way as much as possible. Okay. Someone says, what's your thoughts on a slideshow versus a static homepage? In general, if you are going to be putting an image front and center, on your homepage, you do want to have a slideshow so that you're not being pigeonholed into one style of design. Last person says, do you have a suggestion for how much we should expect to pay to have monthly website help in the event you are booked up? So I'm assuming that you're talking about if you were to work with other website designers. I can't speak for other website designers, but I can tell you based on kind of my general awareness of the website industry and speaking with other website designers and checking out their websites and stuff, you can be expecting to pay anywhere from $50 an hour to $300 an hour generally, for really, really high quality, a website where in general you are going to get what you pay for. And so it's really going to come down. What I would suggest you do, is I would interview 3 website designers, ask them about how they charge for the work and how they're able to guarantee value for you. At the end of the day, I mean, this is your business, and investing, really good money in your business, especially for your website, is really going to pay dividends. I mean, think about how many more projects that you can book per year with a really powerful, compelling website, and ask yourself, is it worth the investment to hire really an expert who can guarantee results? I do suggest working with a website designer who has worked with interior designers before. It is going to make your time together so much more efficient, and they're going to be able to really help you make an impact. So I have worked with dozens of interior designers, and I can guarantee that impact for you. So if you are interested, again, reach out to me. Check out my website. First and foremost, go to my website, look at my work, see if it is something that feels right for you. Check out my rates. Make sure that I'm in your budget and that I'm worth the investment to you. And then reach out to me, and I would be happy to speak with you for an initial consultation. So that's it for me today, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, close it down. Thank you again to Ivy as a resource to interior designers. Thank you again to Tara for moderating this discussion, and thank you to all of you. Over 700 people registered for this webinar, and it looks like over 200, at least 250 people actually popped in today. So that's amazing, and I look forward to speaking with you and helping you with your website. And so, signing off from New York City. Again, my name has been Yian Quach. My business is House Digital, and best of luck to all of you. Take care, guys. Peace out.